Good morning and welcome to the National Newspaper Publishers Association's Let It Be Known. This morning, Governor Brian Kemp said he would testify against Donald Trump if it came down to it. He says uh, he's done with Trump. Trump's bond was set yesterday at $200,000, and he said he'll turn himself in Thursday ahead of DA Fonnie Willis's noon Friday deadline. We'll have details. And recovering the names of 10 million women, men, and children of African descent who were enslaved and what became the United States. We'll tell you about that project as well. Living Single. It's the anniversary of Living Single, and we'll discuss that iconic television show. Shaquille O'Neal, we'll talk about him this morning. He has a very unique way of giving his children money. Also, Sha'Carri Richardson has cemented one of the great comebacks in sports. She won the 100-meter race at the World Championships in Hungary. What a race that was. And it had four of the best or the fastest sprinters in the world in that race. We'll talk about that this morning. And Angel Reese was at a private high school in Baltimore, private Catholic high school in Baltimore. And when she was there was a fund that helped to pay her and others tuition. Now she's giving back, helping others. We'll talk about that as well. All this morning with Austin Cooper. And we think Barrington is going to join us at some point. We think.
Barrington.
Look at this. Scott. I tell you, you talk about marching to the beat of his own drummer. I tell you, that drummer needs to start drumming earlier, don't he, Austin?
No.
Absolutely. Good morning, brothers.
Good morning. Listen, while you sleep, I'm working, bruh. So, and I'm too old to be trying to burn the candle at both ends anymore. So that's the thing.
Barrington, you paid your dues, huh?
No, I haven't paid my dues. I'm still paying my dues, bruh.
Okay.
Who's on your shirt this morning, Barrington? Who's on your shirt?
Dr. Ernesto, I can't get this right, Che Guevara. Revolutionary, Cuban revolutionary, just revolutionary.
Okay.
Died in Bolivia in 1967, assassinated by the CIA because they were so afraid of the communist boogeyman and that type of thing. So,
gotcha.
Fidel Castro's right-hand man.
Okay. Wow. And Barrington is celebrating him this morning. So, this morning, Governor Brian Kemp. So we've been talking about this for a while, right? There's been this thought of him stepping in and removing Fonnie Willis, and I think if he's to be believed, according to the Atlanta Voice, Atlanta Voice was the first to report that he said he would be willing to testify in the Fulton County RICO case against Donald J. Trump. He says, I can't really comment on the indictment, but he says, I was subpoenaed for the special grand jury. So, I'm sure I will be a witness and whatever goes forward. So I really can't say much about the indictment. But he reiterated that the 2020 election was not stolen. And yesterday, a judge set a bond for Trump at $200,000. He is expected to turn himself in on Thursday. So quite a day in Trump world yesterday, Barrington.
I'm not impressed. There's this push and pull between them Republicans. They're trying to they claim that they're trying to pull away from Trumpism and all that stuff, but they're a bunch of cowards. I'm not impressed with Governor Kemp because he shouldn't be governor. Exactly. Because in 2018, he, as secretary, before he became governor, as Secretary of State, he stole the election. He erased millions of names of primarily Black people off of the voter rolls and did all type of shenanigans to ensure that it would pave the way for him to become governor. So as far as he's concerned, he's illegitimate. And this doesn't mean anything, because at the time, well before this, if these people had done what they were supposed to do, we wouldn't be dealing with the scourge of Donald Trump.
Exactly. The same way with some of the others. I mean, I take like my brother just said, I take Governor Kemp, with a grain of salt. He's one of those who periodically does the right thing, as a person, as a human being, certainly as an elected official, as opposed to always doing doing the right thing. To me, he's no different than Chris Christie or Mike Pence. Mike Pence, for the first time at the very end of the Trump presidency, the final days of the Trump presidency, decided to do the right thing. And thank God he did the right thing, because it's just hard to even fathom where we would be as a nation had he not done the right thing. But what about all of the other millions of things and lies that he supported of Trump during that entire 4-year presidency? Same thing with Chris Christie. Chris Christie ran against Donald Trump in 2016, was very critical, just like he is now against Donald Trump. Shouldn't be taken seriously. And all of a sudden, the man gets elected president, and he positions himself to be the his desire was to be the attorney general, which never panned out. Then he wanted to be then President Trump's chief of staff. That never panned out. So if you're gonna right is right and wrong is wrong.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see how this plays out. $200,000 bond for Trump. He's turning himself in, he says, on Thursday, which is interesting because the deadline is noon on Friday, and he has he's given himself some time there. But here's the other part, and Austin and I talked about this pre-show. He will be booked into the county jail there, processed into the county jail anyway. He'll spend, according to the sheriff, at least a couple of hours inside the jail, not in a cell, but in the jail being processed. Meaning, well, I knew you would say that, Barrington, so I'll let you take over.
I mean, every step of the way, we're seeing the uneven application of justice, because where else would we wouldn't get 2 weeks to turn ourselves in if we were under RICO investigation, right? It's just galling to me that they keep on making all these exceptions because he's a quote unquote former president.
Well, I think Andrew Connolly says if he acts up, he'll be in a cell. I think that in this case, Barrington, and we saw the conditions that the judge put on this bond too. But I think in this case, I really believe that this is the one district attorney who will say jail him. I really believe that.
I hope so. I don't. Yeah, I hope so. Certainly, I agree with with Barrington. The three of us or Greer would not have had this kind of flexibility. Citizens as we are, or former president, being black, would not have been given that type of flexibility. I have a question. Was the judge is the judge limited in the amount of bail that she can set for him? Because the bail was low to me.
They have a
schedule, a fee schedule.
Okay, so 200,000 is the maximum.
Yeah, because they charge $10,000 per count.
And $80,000. They actually charged him $80,000 for the RICO count. Eastman, his charge for the RICO count was half that. It depends on the severity, I guess the character,
the number of counts against you.
Yeah. So cash wise, in Georgia, that means $20,000, right?
Yeah.
So
which is still because he's raising money from the idiots, so that's
exactly.
So that's no weight on his pocket. But one thing we should keep in mind as well, Republicans just formed I don't know if it's a committee or some whatever that will allow them to remove prosecutors from cases that piss them off. And last night, some white boy said that he's he filed a complaint against Fani Willis, which they say will initiate an investigation to determine whether they're going to remove her from the case.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that can be done. That can be done 6 to 8 weeks from now. Initially, that legislation that you're referring to was not supposed to take effect, if my memory serves me correctly, until 2025.
Yeah. They can't wait till 2025.
So they fast tracked
it.
No. Too much going on with their boy.
Well, and Trump has asked on his other case, the January 6th case, or the election interference case, he's asked that doesn't start until 2026.
April of 2026.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And that's exactly what Jack Smith said. Crazy.
Yep, exactly. And I'm sure his lawyers looked at him and said, "That's crazy. That doesn't even sound.
Well, they filed for it,
but he told they filed for it because he made them do it. You follow your client's wishes.
Yeah.
But they knew that was crazy. Here's what I want on Thursday when that 15-car, 10-car motorcade, whatever it's going to be, pulls up at the jailhouse. And think about it. It's going to be the first time in history, not like a former president showing up to highlight prison conditions, which I don't think has ever been done by a president, but certainly needs to be highlighted. But this criminal here, this head of this criminal enterprise, is going to roll up at the courthouse. And I read where he could be held for up to 12 hours, if that's correct, in this processing process. Keep him there for 11 hours and 45 minutes. Humiliate him from the moment he arrived.
What's the 15 minutes for?
Point taken. Let's keep him there for the full, for the full time.
You know what's interesting though, brothers? There's so much hypocrisy in this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at the conduct of every American president, a whole bunch of them should have been in prison.
Yep.
George Bush should be in prison for what he did in Iraq.
Yeah.
Barack Obama was killing people using drones. They just targeted people. They did. I mean, I always keep on thinking about the Muslim cleric who they targeted. They killed him and his 16-year-old child. And when people were upset about the fact that the child died, he basically said he shouldn't have been with him.
And do you think for one moment's notice that Reagan was innocent in the Iran-Contra affair?
Yes, Olive North and all of that, exactly.
Yeah.
So he is only doing what they have always done. The only thing is that he's been more blatant and more egregious. And for me, I think the thing that pisses me off most of all is that he has walked around for 50 plus years, done all of the things that he's done, and has never been held accountable until now. And we still don't know if he's going to be held accountable.
And so Barrington, with that though, him going to this jail on Thursday, this is I think a pivotal point when it comes to someone like Donald Trump. He's actually going to be inside a jail facility as a criminal defendant, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think that makes it more and more incumbent upon these district attorneys, whether it's Fani, whether it's Jack Smith, or whether it's my man in New York. You got to get a conviction. He must be. If he walks, could you imagine? He's already angry.
Yeah. No. But if he walks from the documents case, the classified documents case, they can close up shop in America because he's already caught dead to right.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. His own way. Well, even in this case, you got the phone call, you got the co-conspirators, and then in addition to the 18 others who was indicted with him, there are 30 unindicted co-conspirators.
Yeah, those two cases I think are going to be the ones that snag him.
Yeah,
I think those two kids are going to be the ones that snag him.
No, I think he's going to be convicted. I'm pretty certain he's going to be convicted.
Will he serve?
My real question is, will he serve time?
Will he serve any time? Yeah.
Angela Connolly says she's asking, are they going to cavity search?
They should cavity search.
Angie, I don't know who would want that job.
They should cavity search for 12 hours. Shoot.
For the full 12 hours. That's what they should be doing.
12
Right?
hours, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well,
and Stacey and I were talking, before you came on, Brother Barrington. Can you imagine how many times in his mind he's going to be saying the N-word?
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, he may just lose it and scream the N-word out, publicly, at the courthouse.
He better not do it while he's being cavity searched.
I know.
Well, Power 96 says he'll walk in Florida because the judge and jury will see to it, and that judge is already doing everything she can to make sure that Trump doesn't.
She's getting ready to get thrown off the case, bro.
Well, and that's going to get to that too, but you have, on the other hand, Barrington, you have others, and the important ones, because you have the Bar Association, you have others who want her gone.
Yeah.
And I mean, because she's so blatant.
Yeah.
This is what's so bizarre about it. It would have served her better if she could be a little covert, right?
Yeah.
but her loyalty, the cult following, is such that she cannot hide her devotion to Trump.
This is if you think about what all this stuff that's playing out the way it is, we should be deeply, deeply concerned.
Absolutely.
The cult-like nature of this whole thing. I mean, this man could rape a child. This man could kill people. This man could do all this stuff, and they'd still be like, Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna.
Shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and get away with his famous words.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. He can do it. He can do it. It's really it's really a cult. I was listening to the news last night. I guess they were talking about the polls in Iowa. And someone suggested there just may be a reverse, Bradley effect. We all remember Mayor Bradley, Tom Bradley, running for governor of California in 1984, and was leading in the polls and lost resoundingly, as I call. And the bottom line was, white folks were lying and saying they were going to vote for him when really they voted for the Republican. But some people are suggesting, I don't know that I buy into it, but it's an interesting theory. But some people are suggesting that folks are, telling reporters that we're going to vote for Trump, but vote for someone else.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, I think the majority of folks, I think the majority of folks, if you're crazy enough to say on camera you're going to vote for Trump, then you're crazy enough to vote for Trump behind when the cameras are not around.
But Austin, remember, because I have been reading stories about people who are Trump supporters, and it's the same thing. It's the same type of, I don't know if you call it situation, the same circumstances. Like if you're in an evangelical cult, you cannot speak out against the cult, the church, the preacher, and that type of thing. And so they in order for them to, and they've talked to people who are Trump supporters who have said that they don't want to be ostracized by speaking out against Trump. So it's in their best interest to publicly support him. We don't know what they're going to do when they go into the voting booth, but it's some wild stuff. This is going to be psychological studies for generations going
centuries.
Well, guys, for centuries, access to the Black American story has been severely limited by the lack of genealogical records of enslaved African Americans and their descendants. Now, a team of dedicated researchers and genealogists are seeking to change that with 10 million names in an ambitious new project aimed at recovering the names of approximately 10 million men, women, and children of African descent who were enslaved in what became the United States. Guys, these 10 million people have approximately 44 million living descendants, according to researchers. This is a project. It's flying under the radar, but it really shouldn't be flying under the radar.
No, it needs to fly under the radar.
It needs to. Okay.
In this environment, as it is now, it needs to fly under the radar, because there's this concerted effort to erase anything and
Race.
everything that deals with us as Black people.
Gotcha.
I think it's a fabulous thing. Mimi and I have a friend who, a white guy from New Jersey, and she was doing some work on his ancestry with him. He was able to go back to Germany, like to the 14th, 15th century. That's how far back he could go and name his ancestors. And we can't do that because, I mean, I can name my great grandparents only because of the work that my father did, my father's family did to chronicle our history. But I have talked to people who have said that they can't go past their grandparents, which is it's a sin. It's a sin.
Yeah, well, the goal of the 10 million names is to identify the real names of individuals lost to the slave trade, the history, that they're trying to abolish that history, trying to take that history away, erase it, I should say. So Barrington, Austin, this is a very heavy undertaking.
No, absolutely. And I have to be honest, brother, that I was not aware of this particular project until I read you and Greer's briefing memo on the topics for today. Having said that, it's just a reminder of how much healing we as Black people, people of color, but Black people in particular, need. We are still impacted. We are still, in some ways, bound by the vestiges of slavery centuries ago. So this is an important initiative. I agree with Barrington that it should be kept, under the radar, especially in these these crazy political times that we find ourselves in. But I think the work should continue. These names should be identified and relayed to us, and it will be yet another step towards our healing. It's just not our ancestors who were slaves who need to be healed. We need to be healed.
Yeah,
Austin, you're 100%, 1,000% correct, because we are still dealing with the vestiges, the impact of ancestral trauma.
That's right.
Caused by all of this, and it's so interesting because there's a poetic irony of this project being, I guess, accelerated at a time when that idiot in Arkansas, I don't know how she became president because she's as dumb as a goddamn stick. The governor, Sanders, Huckabee, whatever. She's been in the news the last couple of weeks talking about the dangers of teaching white kids Black history. Her, DeSantis, Abbott, and all them idiots.
Abbott, yep.
So and that's what we got to keep. That's what we have to do. We have to continue to put in place, implement, move forward anything that's going to help us to maintain our history. As they do everything they can to try to erase it.
Had Kemp is Kemp on record? I just don't recall. Is Kemp on record on this whole issue? Teaching our history.
When I did some stories maybe a year and a half ago, he's not in that camp in terms of trying to erase, because there was a big effort in Georgia in like 2019, 2020 to change the educational curriculum, but it was more in terms of what they call parental control. So, but it didn't. Nothing that I saw or read indicated that they were trying to do what DeSantis and Huckabee Sanders are doing.
Power 96 says he can only go back to the early 1800s. He says, when my ancestors were sold from North Carolina to New Louisiana, the Catholic Church has well kept records of enslaved Africans.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, I tell you.
I was lucky because we can go back to the 1730s on my father's side, and it's documented and stuff. My mom, much less so, because most of the history I know from my mom is just oral, just passed down.
Yeah. Well, guys, we're gonna lighten it up a little bit. Shaquille O'Neal has a very, very unique way of giving money to his children. Shaq, who is one of the richest ex-athletes in the world, who is lovable, has come to be lovable by everybody, and fun and very charitable. We've seen a lot of acts of charity on the part of Shaq. He says that when his children ask for money, they must bring some sort of business plan with them. He's happy to give it to them, but he wants to see the business plan. He wants to teach them that, hey, I'm the bank, and this is what banks do. Show me your business plan. And it's been successful so far. And he's got 3 daughters that are now currently in college right now, that he says his deal with them, he says he's trying to bribe them to go for their master's degree. He says, I will give you whatever you want if you go for your master's. But his son has become this acclaimed DJ. He bought a business plan, and he's got a couple of other kids who've done the same. Austin, I know that this piques your interest.
No, absolutely. I've always been a big fan of Shaq, and what I really admire current and former athletes who give back. Give back to those they don't know, and obviously what he's doing is with his family members. What Shaq is doing here is creating generational wealth. What Shaq is doing here is creating another generation of entrepreneurs. So I admire what he's doing, and I commend. I'm also admire on social media, seeing random acts of kindness by by Shaq. He was we've all seen how sometimes he will be in a in a jewelry store, making a purchase, and notice a guy picking out a ring for his fiance, and he'll just let the guy not let the individual know who's purchasing the ring, but let the store owner know whatever he picks, put it on my tab. So I'm a big fan of Shaq.
We've seen him go into grocery stores, buying groceries for folks, places like Home Depot, buying things for people, paying for their whatever it is that they're getting, just because he's there. What a gentle giant, I guess, huh? It's opposite, Barrington, of what we heard from Steve Harvey not long ago. Was a couple of years ago. Steve Harvey says, I ain't leaving my kids nothing. He said, I earned this money.
But Steve Harvey, there's lots of things I can say about him.
A whole lot.
But the true indication of how low as a human being he is was when he told Monique that he doesn't care about integrity. It's all about the money, right?
What did he say, Barrington? I'm sorry, what's your statement, Barrington?
When Monique was fighting with, I think, HBO or whatever, he told her that he don't care about integrity. It's all about the money.
Yeah, he certainly did.
He much tells everything about him. Shaq is interesting. I like him. I love what he's doing because he, like Stacey said, he has bribed his children to at least get a master's degree, and then they'll get a certain amount of money, I guess, for doing that. I hadn't heard about the business plan until recently, but I mean, it makes sense because one of the things, the tragedies, I think, for us as Black people is how many of them, because I ain't in it, how many of them get the opportunity to make millions of dollars in entertainment or sports or whatever, and in 2 seconds all the money is gone. And I don't know if you guys have seen Ballers, but Ballers is back up with these football players, and the foolishness that they do with their money. $400,000 ring, million-dollar cars and all that foolishness. And, you know, they assume that because they're in the lap of luxury for a few years, that it's going to continue forever. No financial literacy. There's one young man who has like 15 members of his family living in his house, you know, doing foolish things with their money, with the bounty that the Creator has given them. And so I wish more of them would emulate Shaq in terms of how they shepherd their money, because they said he owns hundreds of businesses.
Oh, he does. Absolutely.
Pizza joints and other types of businesses. So he's set.
Mm-hmm.
He's set.
You know, like Magic. You know, I mean, I admire those guys, and Shaq, you know, did not come from wealth, nor did Magic. But what I admire most is, you know, their kids, you know, their children, are you know, did not earn this. You know, they just happen to be born into these families and this incredible wealth. And what Shaq is doing is keeping them humble, keeping them grounded, you know, constantly reminding them that you are blessed in a way that 99% of the population is not blessed. Don't forget it.
Yeah, absolutely. What an example he sets too. Like we talked about the charity work, the just being paying it forward, constantly paying it forward.
And there should be. I wish more people would emulate him, because it benefits him as a human being, and it benefits people who are the objects of his charity. And you know what? One of the things that I look at someone like a Michael Jordan, and he's always one that has gotten my criticism. When he was with the Wizards, I was working at DC Public Schools, and we arranged for him to go to an elementary school. And I just kept on saying to my colleagues, I cannot believe that a man of his wealth, and more importantly, his connections, he walked into that school empty-handed. And I was like, damn, he could have called any computer company and said he needed some computers for the children, and they would have gladly given it. So I don't know if it was him or the people around him. They didn't think about that.
Well, certainly he didn't think about it.
He didn't think about it, exactly. No, I mean, you're right to hold. You're right to hold. You know, Michael accountable for that, and not his. You know, not his people.
His people. It just blew my mind. I was just like, wow, you know, and so kudos to Shaq and to others like it, because I mean, Robert Smith, the billionaire, when he was it Morehouse he went to, and paid all of their outstanding bills. I think it was like $34 million. That's what we need to be doing.
Absolutely. Guys, it's the 30th anniversary of one of television's most iconic sitcoms, Living Single. The creator, Yvette Lee Bowser, was on the Today Show. I can't even say it. And she talked about when the show first, so she gave some really interesting tidbits. She says that she was actually at a hair appointment when the show was picked up. She says, as a Black woman, that's fitting that I was at a hair appointment. And she says it was on May 10th, 1993. She got a phone call telling her that the show was getting picked up for another 12 episodes in addition to the pilot. She says, I called my mother first, and then I called my girlfriend. She says, you know, that show that I wrote about is actually going to be on TV. I'm not going to just be sitting at home in my robe watching the one episode over and over again. The show premiered on August 22nd, 1993, and it marks, of course, its 30th anniversary today. She said there are no public celebrations planned because of the Hollywood strikes, but the legendary show did run for 5 years, featuring Queen Latifah, Kim Coles, Erica Alexander, T.C. Carson, John Hinton, and Kim Fields as Khadijah, Sinclair, Max, Cal, Overton, and Regine. And they lived in Brooklyn. It's funny because she said too, here's another thing before I toss it to you guys. She talks about Max, and and she really modeled these characters after people in her life, and Max is modeled after her. But NBC did not want Max, and she said she was not going to do the show unless the character of Max was in the show. She said she was willing to risk it all for Max, and so they compromised. And you remember, Max didn't live with the rest of them; she lived next across the hall, and that was the compromise. And she says, you know, when you create something that is intended to be a love letter and you pour love into it over time, what I found is that you continue to get love back over an extended and unexpected period of time. So this is you know, it's a really fun tidbit today.
Yeah, that's a you know, across the lily white landscape of TV, this was like a ray of sunshine, and I watched it. I loved it. I just loved the fact that you had a whole bunch of Black people on a show, you know, because I remember I would always look at Friends and be like, what the hell? They live in New York, which is the most diverse city probably in the world, and they ain't got no goddamn Black people anywhere, not even the janitor, not even what the hell?
Well, you know, Friends,
even when they were in bars, you didn't even see Black people in bars. I mean, like walking down the street. I
in
mean,
New York,
nothing. I'm like, what part of New York are you?
Listen, in New York, you guys, not only are you going to see Black people, you're going to see Jamaican people, you're going to see you know, Hispanic people. Yeah, come on.
Yeah. So,
but you know, gentlemen, this was a time when you know, Blackness was so relevant on television. You know, not cable. You know, positive Blackness. You know, these ladies here, the Cosby Show, even in a different way. What's it called? In Living Color, which I thought, which is absolutely hilarious.
Oh, and Living Color is responsible for the careers of a lot of people, including Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
But and then you had that era where you had some really good Black shows. You know, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You had what the Hillman Collins folks, Different World, and I mean, it just went on. Then Martin and the Steve Harvey Show, you know, came on. It was a really interesting and cool era.
Yeah.
But you know, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I'd sometimes watch it, but it wasn't must-see TV for me. And I was always, you know, rubbed the wrong way by this, you know, older white man taking in these Black kids, these two young Black boys, and wondering, you know, I couldn't help but wonder, you know, that whole, you know, white folk, you know, maybe
different. He's talking about Different Strokes.
Different Strokes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Different Strokes.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that was the show that was not must-see TV for me, because that show.
Well, that was the early
rubbed me
'80s.
the wrong way.
Yeah.
That was the early '80s.
Okay.
And in fact, we just recently talked a little bit about that on the show. Arnold and Willis and Mr. Drummond.
But you know that you always got to have a white savior somewhere.
Yeah. And then there's Jamie Foxx. The Jamie Foxx show was absolutely phenomenal as well. And then that's Jamie as Wanda in Living Color.
Oh, those skits were hilarious.
Yeah.
They were absolutely hilarious. But
I remember Tommy Davidson giving the character Wanda a massage, and he didn't realize he was a guy, and he's like, you know, rubbing up on her and smelling her, and he said something like, "Baby, what's that beautiful perfume you wearing?" And she said, "Desinex."
Oh, these two right here.
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
It was a time, right, for Black television anyway.
Yeah.
And like you said, it wasn't streaming, wasn't on cable, it was on network television.
Exactly.
But Stacey, there's always a time for Black television. But the sad thing is that until we control all of the creative aspects, the distribution and all that stuff, then we're always going to be beholden to these heads of these organizations, these production companies, these TV companies and stuff. So, you know, it's interesting to me because the theme for this and so many of the conversations, discussions that we have is just how important it is for us to wrestle control of our lives from this beast. You know,
that's a great point.
And the thing for me, sorry to cut you, Stacey. The thing for me, I look at it every day and I keep on thinking, my God, African Americans, Africans in this country have $1.3 trillion of disposable income. If we ever figured out how to prioritize it and how to use it and apply it, we wouldn't have to be asking white boys for anything.
Yeah. And we see photos of the Cosby Show, and the Cosby Show really is what drove everything. And it's just unfortunate that you know, that has been taken away from us too, you know, based on, you know, the situation with Bill Cosby. But it's there. The legacy exists, and we cannot let folks erase these iconic moments and shows. You know, Living Single. You mentioned what's that show? The white show you mentioned.
Different Strokes.
No, the other one with all the white cast in New York. Friends. You know, Friends was taking from Living Single.
Yeah.
Living Single was the original Friends.
Yeah.
So they stole, you know, they looked at that and tried to make it their own, but that was the original, you know, Living Single.
Stacey, that is just indicative of how empty they are. They've never had an original thought.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the creative landscape of the United States. I laugh because, and I tell Mimi all the time, because I'll be watching TV and every commercial is a black song.
And as Bria points out, Austin, it's so true. A Different World made a lot of black kids go to school.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a lot of great stuff. The Cosby Show showed that you can be successful. Your kids, you didn't have to be drug dealers, and you didn't have to be, you know, buffoonery and coonery. You know, education. They pushed education. Of course, A Different World. And even Living Single. We talk about Living Single, the 30th anniversary today of Living Single. They were successful young black women there, right? And living in Brooklyn.
Look at Arsenio Hall. Wow. Yep.
And what better late night show? You know, he dominated. You know, Arsenio came. He did something, and I always say this with Arsenio. Back when Flip Wilson had his show, his variety show in the 70s, Flip would get every major star on his show. Arsenio got every major star on his show. I mean, everyone. It was must-see TV. Yep. And for the celebrities who would be on his show, it was a must. You must do Arsenio.
You remember Bill Clinton playing the saxophone with his glasses?
That was the turning point for Bill Clinton.
Exactly.
I mean, Arsenio literally created a president.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so, you know, he just was not shy about having controversial guests. You know, you remember the whole Louis Farrakhan situation.
Yeah.
But
that's the thing too, you know, because folks in public spaces, for the most part, those of us who look like us, they're weak as hell and won't stand up for anything. Allow the money and other things to influence what we are and how we do it. And we need in public spaces people who are unapologetic and unafraid to express their blackness.
Well, a couple quick comments. The Kia Cooper's watching from the Bayou Beach. He says the black shows in the 90s gave black youth the dream and drive to move forward. They changed the narratives for us. And Mike V brings out a point for another show that we could discuss at length on this one. He says the LGBTQ community would be trying to bring out the pitchforks for Jamie Foxx's character of Wanda today.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Things have changed. They have. And folks, before we have to move on, Sha'Carri, we got to talk about Sha'Carri Richardson. She likely erased all doubts about her commitment and ability. She exploded on the outside lane number 9, and overcame an early deficit to complete one of the most amazing comebacks in sports. The 23-year-old won the world championships, won the 100-meter race at the world championships in Hungary yesterday. Austin, before you run away from us, how great was that?
I don't know that I could get out of this car
in 10.65 seconds.
Exactly. I'm gonna get out in a minute, put my left foot down, make certain I'm balanced. My right foot I'm gonna ease, and I got to shift the stomach forward, and then I got to raise this frame. Then I got to make no. But seriously, I watched this and I was like, wow, I've never seen anybody move that fast in my entire life.
I mean, look, and she defeated a field that included the stars from Jamaica, Sharika Jackson and Shelly Ann Fraser Price. They finished second and third, respectively. And Marie Jose Talau finished fourth.
From Ivory Coast.
Yes, from the Ivory Coast. And these are the fastest women. And this, Sha'Carri became the first American to win since
in a long time.
2017, Tori Bowie.
Yeah.
How old is she?
She's 23. But here's the thing. I love it because I was just really pissed when she was doing all that foolishness, acting all crazy and stuff. And it was like, at some point, you're going to have to shut up and put up. And this is the case of redemption. I love it. I'm a track and field nut. I love was anything Jamaica. But she won.
Well, and here's the other thing, real quick, Austin.
10.65.
Here's the other thing that she did after the race, guys. She the media was waiting for her, all the outlets, different outlets. She stopped at the black outlet, gave an interview, and the other one, she says, no, thank you, no, thank you, no, and made it a point to say it out loud to all of the other outlets, no, thank you, no, thank you. A very obscure black outlet she went to and spoke to, and that was that. And that, more than the 10.65 seconds, I applaud her because, because here's the thing, she knows how she was treated.
Oh, they treated like shit.
Yeah, she knows how they treated. And the thing, I hope other athletes and celebrities take note.
Yeah.
Don't forget the black press, like most of y'all do.
Yeah. But what I love is this, as this picture indicates. There's so many pictures right after the race with them hugging, talking, loving up each other. So I love the fact that you can compete hard as hell when in the middle of competition, but at the end of it, you're still rolling and enjoying each other as human beings.
Yeah, I mean, look at the warmth here and the respect that is just so evident between these two in this photo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a selfie that Shelly Ann took with the three of them, with her, Sharika Jackson, and Sha'Carri. It's funny as hell. It's just really cool.
Listen, it was the unbelievable race. It was hard, it was hard to tell at the end there if who was going to prevail. It was such a great race, and she just bolted from the outside. It was amazing.
And anybody who is a track and field aficionado, most times you do not win from lane 9.
Right.
Very rarely do you win from lane 9, and that's
I remember my my Uncle Donald telling me about his one experience of riding on the Concorde from London to JFK, obviously years ago. But he said, you get up over the Atlantic, and the pilot comes on and says, we're about to push to Mach 2 now. And he said, you literally felt like the hand of God shoving the plane forward. That's what we saw here. The hand of God pushing this young sister forward.
Yeah.
Wow. And you saw that other picture. Y'all was talking about the camaraderie, the photos.
Yeah.
Great photos here. Great,
great
scenes. Yeah. Look, and there it is, right there.
There it is.
Unreal. And real quick, guys, before we sign off, Angel Reese should be applauded this morning as well. The LSU star. She continues to make a name for herself. When she went to a private Catholic school, St. Francis Academy in Maryland, as a high school student, there was a program that helped pay her and other girls tuition. Well, she just donated $12,000 to do the same, to that very same program. Angel Reese continues to make a name for herself, and under the new name and likeness rules now with college sports, where athletes can now get paid for their name and likeness, Angel has now made $1.7 million. Congratulations to Angel Reese. Giving back.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
Great stuff. Austin, we're gonna lose Austin, so we're gonna lose the show. Austin's got he's got to go do some old folk stuff.
Exactly.
Oh, that's right. It's an inside secret. No, you know who got to go do that? It's Austin with T.O. and got to go do that, right?
Oh yeah. Oh! You just exposed Greer. Greer's not gonna be happy. Greer, that wasn't me who busted you.
T-O-N. But anyway, Austin, we appreciate you.
All right, you guys.
As always, say hi to Mimi and everybody. Have a great day. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, you guys.